All right, I want you to picture this. You've been looking for the perfect home. You've been looking for a couple of weeks. You've seen maybe 20, 30 homes at this point, and you find the perfect house. It's got the right number of bedrooms, it's got the finished basement, the nice backyard, and eventually you end up not getting the home, not because you didn't like it enough, but your mortgage did not get approved. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the importance of getting a pre approval done, how essentially it saves you a bunch of time and potentially ends up saving you money on the purchase. Let's talk about it. So let's quickly talk about the difference between pre-qualification and pre-approval. A pre-qualification is sort of like a soft pre-approval. You'll go to the mortgage broker or to the bank and you'll give them information about yourself. This is my job. This is how much money I make. This is my credit score. How much do you think I can afford? They punch in some numbers in their software program and then they give you a number that they think you should be able to afford based on the information you've given them. So that's a pre-qualification. A pre-approval is very different. A pre-approval is where you actually submit an application with all of the documentation, a fresh credit score. That application gets forwarded to an underwriter, and then they tell you officially this is the amount that you'll be able to afford. And a lot of times they'll give you they'll hold the rate for you for a couple of months, and you have a window within which you can purchase that house. That is the biggest difference between a pre-qualification and pre-approval. So if you've been pre-qualified, that is not a guarantee that you'll get the amount that you've been told you're going to get. But when you have been pre-approved, it's in writing. It's a promise that if you were to purchase a place within the next couple of months, this is the amount and this is the rate. So pre-approval, way better than pre-qualification. Okay, so the first major advantage of having a pre-approval done is obviously you get to know how much you can afford. I've been in situations very early on in my career where people were looking for a home, they found the perfect house, put in the offer, and then, their approval didn't happen for the financing. Their mortgage didn't get approved and they just got very disheartened. And then afterwards, it turned out that when they actually went in for the pre-approval or to get a proper official sort of like letter from the bank for a rate for an amount, that the amount was much lower than they had expected. And then going forward, what ends up happening is when you're looking for that perfect house, you always kind of comparing it to the one you fell in love with, right? So eventually with time, you do kind of heal and you kind of become more realistic and you get the right house that kind of matches your budget and the approval that you have, but you can't help but compare to the one that kind of got away, right? So that's one of the most important emotional sort of mini traumas you have when you're shopping for a house and you don't do a pre-approval. So do a pre-approval because you get to know exactly the amount you're working with from the very get-go, and you shop within your range and your budget, and you pick the best house in that situation. So number one reason would be to know exactly how much you can afford so there's no disappointment down the road. All right, so let's talk about the second reason why pre-approvals are super important. This is one of my favorites. Imagine the house that you purchased. Now it's come time for you to sell it, move on to something bigger and better. You're pricing your home at $800,000 for the sake of easy math. And it just so happens that you end up getting more than one offer on the same day for this property. The first offer comes in at $795,000 and they have been pre-approved. They have the documentation to show that they've been pre-approved for this amount. The second offer comes in at full asking price, so $800,000, meaning it's $5,000 more than the first offer, except they need 5 banking days to figure out whether they'll get approved for the mortgage or not. Which offer are you most likely to accept? In my experience, 99% of the time, the sellers will accept the first offer, which is less than asking, but pre-approved and financing is not a concern. Main reason being, if you would accept the second offer, which is coming at a full asking price, $5,000 more, the seller's going to spend the next 5 banking days pacing back and forth, wondering if the offer is going to go through or not, if the mortgage is going to get approved or not. It's a bit of a concern, right? So in essence, when you do get pre-approved and you have the documentation to show it, and you end up being in a multiple offer situation, your pre-approval is actually worth money. It can save you some money on the purchase of your next house. And reason number three for getting a pre-approval done, guys, well, it's simply for peace of mind. When you go in for a pre-approval, you submit the application in, it's presented to an underwriter. Most of the time, you can get a rate guaranteed to you for the next 3 months from that lender. Meaning, if you were to purchase a home in the next 3 months, you've been pre qualified, you have a pre approval, and you will be getting a certain rate that the bank has promised you. Why does that work in your favor? Well, I mean, just think about it. Look at what's going on in the economy today. Gas prices going up, coming down a little bit, then going right back up again. There's so much instability, and normally, when there's instability like that, especially when it comes to gas prices, the Bank of Canada can get finicky and start playing with the interest rate. So if they feel like inflation is going up, guess what's going to happen? Interest rates are going to go up, and they go up by 0.25% every time they do go up. So if you just want to have sort of a safeguard in that situation, the best thing to do is to get that pre-approval done, get a rate locked in. Worst case scenario, because of what's happening in the world, if the Bank of Canada raises the interest rates, you're still going to be able to get the older rate locked in, and you can get your mortgage on that rate for the next 3 to 5 years, whatever the term is that you've agreed to between you and the bank. Now, if you don't have that locked in and the Bank of Canada raises the interest rates, guess what? You're going to be paying more money for the same house. So, one of the biggest advantages of doing a pre-approval is you have somewhat of a safety net when you're purchasing a home. So go ahead and get that pre-approval done. All right, guys. So we have talked about the importance of doing a pre-approval because, well, for three reasons. Number one, you get to know a very realistic idea of what you can afford, so you don't shop around for a home that you can't afford and have all that mini trauma to deal with. Reason number two would have to be simply that if you're ever in a multiple offer situation, having that pre-approval done gives you leverage over somebody who hasn't had that done. And number three, with the instability in the world markets, it's good to have somewhat of a safety net when it comes to the rates for your mortgage. So now I want to know from you personally, do you feel like having a pre-approval done and the importance of having it done kind of depends on what's happening in the market space, or it is something that should be done regardless of what's happening? Love to hear your thoughts and your comments. Leave it in the comment section below, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.